Hi, so today I'm going to introduce you to one of my favorite sauces, and it's also, I think, one of the simplest sauces that anybody could make. You capture really the essence of fresh kale, little lemon zest, olive oil, and garlic. It's a versatile sauce, and that's what I really like about it. I've used it with poached vegetables, poached fish like salmon. It's wonderful on a roasted chicken thigh that has that crispy skin on the top, and then you dress the breast or the thigh with this sauce. It's also really nice on tri-tip, drizzled on top of the slices of tri-tip. Or you can fold it into a black bean burger if you're into vegetarian food. I've also even used it in grass-fed beef burgers with caramelized onion and kind of mixed it in. You can find the base recipe on my blog at www.gabriellemyers.com. So please check it out and subscribe to the blog. I need all the followers I can get. So the sauce is pretty straightforward. I'll walk you through the ingredients in just a moment. The key thing to understand with this sauce is it's a base sauce that you can take and then you can tweak to fit your own taste and the specific dish that you want to serve it with. So I start with kale as my base, and I have a few of the flavorful additions like Meyer lemon and red pepper flakes and salt and garlic. But feel free to dress it up with adding different herbs. Some people like a little oregano in there or cilantro. Some people like more garlic. Some people don't like garlic at all. So, feel free to tweak it. If you're really adventurous, try an anchovy or two in the sauce. It's even, better for you than just that kale base. So the fun part to remember is to always, do your best to experiment and try some things out with your cooking to make it fun and interesting.
Hi, welcome back. So again, we're here to make kale and olive oil sauce. Once you have your ingredients prepped, it's, I think, the easiest sauce that anybody could ever make. And prepping the ingredients doesn't take more than about 5 minutes, if that. So you want one bunch of kale. I prefer dinosaur kale. It's also known as Cavolo Nero in Italy, or black kale. It's readily available in most farmers markets now, and I think also in most grocery stores. If you can't find the black Tuscan kale, you can easily sub out with any kale. The key is you don't want it too woody or fibrous because you're going to be blending it raw. You're not cooking it. So curly kale usually is fine. Red Russian kale, I think, is wonderful and really healthy for you. There are lots of other kale varieties out there. It's not purposeful to name them all, but the key thing is to look for something that you can puree the leaf for. So take the kale and you want to de-stem it, get rid of the fibrous stems, and wash it. I like to dunk it and submerge it in cold water, shake it a few times, pull it out, let it dry. It's okay if there's some water on it. You can see there's some water here. It's not the end of the world. And so that's like the most complicated part of this recipe. Other than that, you just need to assemble ingredients. So here you see I have half a teaspoon of red pepper flakes, a tablespoon of Meyer lemon zest, 5 tablespoons extra virgin olive oil, and a half a teaspoon of salt. I'm starting with half a teaspoon of salt, but I might up it, and I might actually add more olive oil. And it's important to feel out the recipe as you're making it, because you might want to do the same, or you might want to maybe cut back on the salt if you're salt sensitive. I love salt. I tend to have low blood pressure, so I crave a little extra salt. And also olive oil, I really enjoy that. So, you might find that you only need 3 tablespoons, but I always go for the 5 tablespoons. And again, I might add another tablespoon. Why I might add more olive oil would be because all the kales are going to be different. And so, I suggest 5 tablespoons to start, but some kale leaves might be a little bit more tough than other leaves. I'd say if you have really tender, like baby kale leaves, you probably need less olive oil. If yours are a little more firm and sturdy, you might want to have 6 tablespoons of olive oil. So it's always important to respond to the ingredients that are before you and be flexible, with each recipe. So that's that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to throw everything in the blender and get it going. So always make sure you wash your hands. And if you don't do that, then use gloves. And so first I'm going to do that, but I just realized I forgot the little blade. So this isn't going to work till I get that. So hang on tight. Okay, so now we have our blade in the machine, which is essential if you want this to actually work. And then, of course, now the next step is we basically put all of the ingredients in the blender. I try to pack in the kale. That's, I think, the best method is just to try to do it all at once. But you, depending on the size of your blender, might need to do it in batches. So I kind of shove it all in here and make sure that you get it packed in so the blades have a chance to puree the mix. Pack it all in. You make sure you wash your hands. Working in a kitchen has basically taught me to be obsessive about cleanliness because I saw videos in culinary school of somebody shaking a guy's hand and he ended up getting everybody in his restaurant sick. So it's always important to practice good hygiene, and then you can use your hands. But again, if you don't do that, make sure you use gloves that are clean. So throwing all the ingredients in. Nice Meyer lemon zest here. Look at that color. It's brilliant. Hopefully it's as beautiful for you as it is for me. And some nice extra virgin olive oil. I live in California in the Central Valley, and so I have plentiful olive oil groves and producers to pull from. This one is from Sika Hills, which is just north of us, I believe maybe like about half an hour. So I can't get more farm to table than that. So you put all the ingredients in. Lock your device, turn it on. I use a puree setting on my machine, and you let it go. Usually it'll take a minute or two. Let it go for a while. And then once it's reasonably chopped, I stop it and push everything down. Check to see if I need more olive oil, which I think I will need a little bit more here. So I like to use a little spatula like you'll see here. Plastic spatula, scrape down the sides. And yeah, we need a little bit more olive oil. So I'm going to add another tablespoon, or what you can say is a drizzle, since I'm not going to get out my measure. And just a little more oil. I figure, you know what, olive oil, I don't think you can use too much of it. I've never heard of anybody dying from olive oil. But, butter sometimes causes heart disease. So there we go. All right, and then pack it in, and then here I am again. So stop it. And then towards the end, once the kale is down and chopped up a little bit, I like to add in my garlic. Yeah, this is requiring a good amount of olive oil. So I would say that what I'm using now is probably like about 7 to 8 tablespoons for this specific kale batch. Pack it down, and let it go. Okay, it's nice to check in on it. Yeah, okay, so now this is becoming the consistency that I'm looking for. Let me zoom in so you can actually see that in all its glory. Still need to chop up a little bit more for the garlic, but hopefully you can see this is getting to the point where it's slightly emulsified and it's actually like a sauce here, which is what you want. So I'm going to let it go for another minute or so. Again, if you have a softer kale, like a baby kale or really tender kale, you won't have to puree it this long. All right. Now, it's always important to taste your ingredient or your dish to see. So you want it. It's pretty good. I'm going to add a little more salt. If you're just about to serve this, like you're going to serve it within 2 or 3 minutes of pureeing it, you might want to add a squeeze of fresh Meyer lemon juice. But this is something I'm going to keep in the fridge for a while, probably for like a day or two before I actually cook with it. So I'm not going to add any acid because the acid would basically turn it brown, and I don't want that. I might squeeze in a little bit of lemon right before I serve it the next day. And then let it go one more time. Okay. Now you taste it again if you made your adjustments. Oh yeah, that's what I want. It's nice, it's bright, get that deep kale flavor, the brightness of the Meyer lemon, and also a little kick of the garlic as well, and from the hot pepper. And as it sits, the hot pepper flavor, I think, will develop a little. It's kind of faint right now, but it will intensify a little bit as we go. So that's something to keep in mind if you're sensitive to spicy things. You know, it usually as the sauce sits, the ingredients, especially the spiciness, will come out a little bit. And that's
Okay, so our sauce is done. Again, it's such a quick sauce, but it's so healthy for you. By pureeing the kale, you actually bring out the health benefits in an intense way. Actually, pureed kale, chopped up kale, slightly cooked kale, it has more health benefits for you than just a raw leaf that you just swallow. So for that, we have our sauce. And to store it, I like to use a good old mason jar. I like to use a smaller opening because basically you restrict the amount of oxidation that will occur with a narrow opening. So hopefully you can see this is a smaller mouth, not a wide mouth lid. And then I would use wax paper because honestly I don't really trust plastic wrap, but I ran out of wax paper, so I'm just going to use plastic wrap to create a little seal over the top. Again, this prevents the oxidation. So with your pestos and basically any pureed green, it has a tendency to turn brown if you don't protect it from oxygen. And so I create a little seal here. But again, I prefer wax paper because while this says BPA free, I'm kind of suspicious about plastic in general and try to avoid cooking with it. But you know, it's right before New Year's and the stores are packed, and I'm not going to go out for just wax paper. So there you go, press it in, and then you can store it in the fridge. I would say use it within about 4 days. After that, I don't think it would taste that good, to be honest with you. But yeah, you know, if you could eat it in a day or two, that's, I think, the best policy. And I think that flavor actually is better the next day than right now. So that's why I'm not going to serve it right now. Again, a really versatile sauce. It's super healthy for you. It's simple. And I invite you to please check out my blog where I have tons of gluten and dairy-free recipes that follow the seasons and are farm-to-table based. That's www.gabriellemeyers.com, GABRIELLE, and then MYERS.com. Please check it out, and I'll see you next time.